everybody, it is Professor Parish, and we are on week 5 of ACE. So, like I've done in the past, I'm going to be talking about this week's assignments, and then I'm going to switch over and talk about a portion of the SAT. So, we are going to go ahead and click on week 5 here, September 13th. As far as this week goes, we're going to be meeting at Dorisville Baptist Church in Harrisburg. I'm actually really excited about this. We're going to make cookies. It's going to be a lot of fun. The address is 1300 South Feasel Street in Harrisburg. So we're going to meet there at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. When you're done, the essay for this week is going to be just writing a reflection about that community service project. So pretty much what we've done in the past. As far as the textbook assignment, there is a section of your textbook to check out on the SAT, the writing and language section. And then the other assignment, other than commenting about the community service week, is just working on your individual community service projects. So at this point in the class, we are going to still talk about SAT prep and things like that, but also it's important that you're working on your individual community service projects. We've got 3 weeks left of class for this portion, and so I want to make sure that you are getting things done with that community service project and you're working on it towards your presentation. So the little essay this week should be pretty quick. You could even do it Tuesday night when you get home after you're done with that, or if you want to wait till you're at school the next day to do it, like while you're in study hall or something, or you have a lab period maybe for your online dual credit classes, something like that, you can work on it then. But that's pretty much our only assignments this week. I'm excited to bake cookies. I have a big sweet tooth, so I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, I do want to go ahead and talk about the writing and language section of the SAT. So I have some notes here about it. The writing and language section, there are perhaps some misconceptions about this section, so I do want to address them. First of all, the section is 35 minutes long, and there are 44 multiple choice questions, which seems like you'll notice there's more multiple choice questions than there are time allotted. So they really want you to hammer getting the questions done in a very quick and efficient fashion, right? You're basically going to have less than a minute per question, which seems like not very much time. But if we use the same types of techniques and skills we've talked about in the other sections, it should make this section not as difficult. So the section on writing language is mainly assessed in terms of grammar, in terms of vocabulary and content, and editing skills. You're basically being an editor, asked to look at other people's writing and make corrections and make sure that the passage looks as succinct and clean as possible. So you're given 4 passages that you're going to assess. Each passage will have 11 questions with it. And these questions fall either into one of 2 categories. They are either reading comprehension or they are specifically grammar, punctuation, and style editing. So it's one of those 2 things. So I've got a couple tips that are going to help you out with these sections. So first of all, in the reading comprehension sections, the big secret about this section is that you are working with questions like you did in the reading portion of the AccuPlacer. So essentially, each question will have one clear, logistically, objectively right answer. Like we talked about in the reading section, the answers themselves, they are literal. They're not to have any type of opinion attached to them. They're supposed to be looked at as objectively as possible. So in the reading comprehension questions, you're just going to be finding that one answer that makes the most sense objectively and fits the context of the question the best. So most questions have a prompt that focus on the reading comprehension. So try to look for those questions first, narrow down that prompt, and then wrong answers are going to directly contradict the text. So you should be able to narrow down and weed out the wrong answers quickly and find that one correct answer. And if you want to go back to our lecture video a few weeks ago talking about the reading section, then definitely go check that back out as well. The other type of question deals with grammar, punctuation, and style, or the way that the text is written. Mainly, the biggest thing is just reviewing grammar, and it's something that you probably are doing every day in high school, so it's something that you are familiar with. But the big thing, there are a couple tips. I've got 3 tips to help you with the grammar, style, and punctuation questions. First, shorter is better. The idea is that we're not Charles Dickens. We're not getting paid by the word. We're wanting to have very clear, succinct, concise answers. So the SAT reflects that. They want the answers to be short and to the point. So consider this sentence. I wrote this sentence down. This is a sentence that would be on the SAT as an example. So the sentence is, if I were the one who had the choice about going, I would choose to stay home instead. It's a very long sentence. It's very wordy. There's a lot of words it doesn't need to be. So instead of saying, if I were the one who had the choice about going, I would choose to stay home instead, which is, no one talks like that. The SAT would suggest shortening that sentence, and your answer would be, if it were up to me, I would stay home. It's the same sentence, same meaning. Nothing has contextually changed. It's just weeding out unnecessary words. So you may have questions like that on the SAT where they will give you a big, long, arduous sentence and you have to find the more succinct, clear-cut answer. Those sentences will be on the SAT. And the main thing is that you have to make sure that the concise sentence that you pick doesn't have any new errors of its own. Right? Don't just pick an answer on the SAT because it is the shortest, because that is a trick. You may be tempted to pick an answer because, oh, well, I need to make this sentence more concise. That's the shortest question. That's the one I'm going to pick. You want to make sure that the answer you pick doesn't create any new problems, but is also a more concise one as well. So that kind of ties into the second tip. Avoid making new mistakes. They want you on the SAT to think about grammar, punctuation, and style, but it is important that whatever choice you make is one that does not have any new errors attached to it, that it makes the answer succinct and concise, but doesn't create any new problems throughout it. Sometimes students may focus on a specific grammar detail, and you may choose an answer based on that one grammar detail and forget all of the others. So the SAT wants you to choose a correct answer that doesn't just fix the mistake and make the answer better, but also doesn't create any new errors as well. It's one that you want to pick when you're considering the answer. Make sure that as you consider the answer to the question, that your correct answer doesn't add to the problem, it just fixes it. And finally, don't be afraid to make the no change answer the one that you pick. I feel like when we're in high school, as a teacher, I can say this, a lot of times teachers will put the none of the above or all of the above answer in a multiple choice question kind of as a trick because it makes the question harder and makes you second guess yourself. But the SAT is designed to not be tricking students. They want you to be able to discern and pick the correct answer. So there's not really trickery with these questions. It is just as likely that there will be a does not change option be the correct one as there is not. Sometimes on the SAT, there are more does not change answers that are correct. Some years there are less. But the idea is not to trick students. It's just to give you an option that, hey, maybe the answer that's given is the correct one and there's nothing we have to change about it, that it's correct as it is. And they want students to be able to recognize that. So if you're somebody that really worries about that all of the above or none of the above answer and you're always afraid to pick it, don't be afraid on the SAT. Just go through your answers, say, okay, well, none of these other three really work, and trust your gut instinct. You're like, none of these three work, but this does not change one seems like it'll fit. If that's the case, it probably will. So hopefully those tips will help you on the writing and language section of the SAT. As always, you can go back. We've talked about the math section and the reading section as well. You can go back to the last 2 weeks and look at those videos as well too. But if you have any questions while we're at Dorsville, make sure to ask. Bring them up to the class. We can talk about them as a group. But otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you all in class, and I will be back next week with our next lecture video. Bye.